Ever get the feeling like, there are more ways to uncover truth than we realize?
Mm-hmm.
Well, today's deep dive is all about that. We're looking at Tripping with Allah by Michael Muhammad Knight.
Definitely thought-provoking title.
Right. And that's just the start.
Yeah.
I mean, he blends Islamic scholarship, right, the really traditional stuff, with some pretty wild experiences.
Yeah, like exploring spirituality, but through ayahuasca, even marijuana.
Exactly. It's this crazy journey, mosques to the Amazon and back, trying to figure out, like, faith, identity.
The big question.
Totally.
And, Knight himself is a bit of a walking contradiction, which I kind of love. Convert to Islam, years studying the traditions. But then drawn to these psychedelic experiences, too. Like, he's trying to bridge these two worlds that most see as totally separate.
And that's where Dinobot Island comes in, right? From the book.
Exactly. This recurring metaphor, this space where it's okay for ideas to clash.
Like Islamic scholarship meets like a rave. Not literally, but you get it.
You got it. It's Knight's own headspace, challenging us to say, maybe there's room for both.
That's fascinating. So this whole Vine consciousness thing, gotta ask, what's that about?
Right, so that's how Knight talks about the insights he's looking for, but through ayahuasca specifically.
Okay, so that potent brew, shamanic traditions, the whole Amazonian thing.
Exactly. And he ties it back to his beliefs, doesn't separate the two. It's all part of understanding, like the divine,
But he's also honest about the bumps in the road, talks about this one ceremony, Santo Dimi, and it just didn't click for him at all.
Oh, yeah, what happened there?
They're singing these hymns, but to European Jesus is how he puts it, and he's just like totally off-put.
That makes sense, though. Set and setting,
Yeah.
Huge in those experiences. Knight talks about that a lot.
Remind me, what's that exactly?
So set is you going in. Your headspace, what you believe, all that. Setting is everything else. The vibe, the people, the culture surrounding the whole thing, all of it impacts the experience, especially with altered states.
Makes you think, someone with zero Amazonian background, would they even have the same Vine consciousness? Or would it be totally different because of their own, like, baggage?
100%. And it's cool how Knight ties this to Islamic history, too. He talks about Sufis, the mystical side of Islam. They used hashish way back when.
No way, for real.
Yeah, to reach those altered states, part of their practice. So it's not like substances for spiritual reasons is new to Islam.
Wow. But now you get coffee at any mosque, right? But hashish is a whole other story. Shows how times change, I guess.
Totally. It's not always straightforward. Knight makes you question those assumptions, not just about Islam, but like the whole shebang of spirituality.
Pushing those boundaries, man. He's all about the contradictions. Okay, buckle up for this one. Transformers.
Wait, really? Like the robots?
Yeah, you'd be surprised. Knight uses them seriously to get at some deep stuff about, like, spirituality, even identity.
Okay, now I'm intrigued. I'd never connect Transformers with, like, Islamic theology. How does that even work?
Yeah. He makes it work. There's one example, right? In episode 1, Transformer's personality gets messed with, some stolen circuit thing. And Knight compares it to predestination in Islam. Like, even these robots have these big questions about free will, fate.
Wow. That's
Isn't it
different. Most people would shy away from that, the pop culture angle.
Like, he owns it.
Almost like he's saying, look beyond the surface, there's wisdom everywhere.
Totally. Don't judge a book by its cover or a robot by its transformations. But speaking of unexpected, he also ends up at this counterterrorism conference.
Oh, no way. Seriously.
National Counterterrorism Center. The irony is thick.
Yeah.
The psychedelic Muslim, right? That's how he describes himself, talking about Islamic extremism.
That is wild. It really speaks to, how people try to put him in a box, but he just doesn't fit. Makes you think twice about labels. Who's the expert on what?
Right. It's never simple. And through it all, he's honest about the toll it takes on him. Like, not just mentally, but physically, too. He gets into these extreme diets, crazy workouts.
Oh, right. I forgot about the wrestling dude.
Dude wrestles Abdullah the Butcher, ends up with a head wound. But even that, he ties it back to the search for meaning. Like, pushing boundaries has a cost,
Intense. It reminds me of how he talks about writing the book, like trying to fit these really raw personal experiences into this academic mold. His advisor even tells him to take the crap out to make it more scholarly.
Oof, yeah. Can you imagine trying to explain some profound mystical thing you felt to someone who just wants footnotes?
Exactly. That struggle to put into words, it comes up a lot. He even talks about Derrida, that whole negative theology thing, how we can only describe God by what God isn't. Like, how do you explain a color you've never seen?
Mind-blowing. So leaving this deep dive, I think what sticks with me is it's okay to not have it figured out, to ask the weird questions, embrace the unknown. Knight reminds us the search for meaning, it's not a straight line. It's messy, it's surprising, and honestly, that's where the good stuff is.
Well said. Maybe we need a little chaos in our lives, Push our own boundaries, see what we discover. Who knows, you might learn something from a transformer along the way.
Right. That's all the time we have for today's deep dive, but we hope this sparks some of your own explorations. Until next time.